we believe that in order to enable AI gaming at scale, you must have an ecosystem, and the ecosystem need to have like an economic backbone, which is what we refer to as the agent economy. But more than that in order to bring AI games into like mass adoption and really scale them out, we need an aggregation of many different solutions, mainly infra solutions, but also applications that can compose with each other. Because for us, this is how we think the vision of AI would look like. Composable, different pieces of monetization, applications, and also infrastructure providers playing together in one ecosystem and one chain.
Welcome to the Edge Podcast. I'm DeFi Dad here with Nomadic from 4RC. Today's show spotlights a new economic framework for AI agent ownership in gaming called NIM Network. In this episode, we discuss how AI opens up new possibilities for the future of gaming, how NIM marries the benefits of crypto and AI within games, and how NIM aims to drive new standards for AI agents which can play, transact, and generate income. But before we do, just a quick word from our sponsors who make the Edge Podcast possible. Introducing Flat Money, the first decentralized, delta-neutral FLATCOIN built on Base with sustainable yield that's completely untethered from legacy finance. Because DeFi needs an uncensorable based unit of currency. You can mint unit with RETH, which is held in the protocol's shared liquidity pool, where it's borrowed by leveraged traders. As a leveraged trader, you can deposit your margin collateral and go long on RETH. If you're trading in the perpetual futures market, you'll pay unit holders to open leverage positions. If you're holding unit, you'll earn yield from liquidations, borrow rate, and trading fees. Preserve your purchasing power and offset your exposure to crypto market volatility. Learn more at flat.money. Tired of hopping between tabs, searching for new tokens before the hype catches on? Try MATCHA.XYZ, the DEX aggregator from 0x. Matcha connects hundreds of DEXs so you can trade millions of tokens and find fresh new drops. Matcha works out the best route to save you money on every trade. Swaps are free and Matcha has everything you need to trade on-chain. Gasless swaps, limit orders, and cross-chain, all in one place. Search Trade Done at matcha.xyz.
Restaking summer is dawning and SWELL is expanding. Harnessing the power of RSWETH, SWELL is building the Layer 2 for liquid restaking. That means native restaking yield on a chain built with Polygon's ZK EVM technology in collaboration with AltLayer, Chainlink, and EigenDA. Look out for SWELL's Layer 2 in Swell City.
Introducing the MANTLE Liquid Staking Protocol, MANTLE LSP, a permissionless, non-custodial ETH liquid staking protocol deployed on Ethereum L1 and governed by MANTLE. With MANTLE LSP, users can stake ETH to instantly receive METH, earn yield and accumulate rewards the longer you stake. METH is the value accumulating receipt token that will give you access to expanded yield opportunities. Stake and watch your yield grow with MANTLE LSP.
Unlock liquid restaking and get exclusive rewards on KELP's road to 1 billion TVL. Restake Steph, ETHX, and native ETH for the liquid restaking token RSWETH. Get exclusive rewards on top of regular rewards with KELP miles and EigenLayer points. Use RSWETH to earn with over 25 DeFi partners across 9 L2s. Learn more at kelpdao.xyz/restake.
It all started so simply with CryptoKitties and Maker on Ethereum, but quickly became complex with more applications and many chains. Today, everyone agrees UX issues are the biggest blocker standing in the way of crypto adoption. Introducing Avocado. Multi-chain UX redesigned from the ground up. The first wallet to abstract networks, accounts, and gas. One gas tank to pay transaction fees on all chains in USDC. And native access to INSTADAPP's powerful, custom DeFi strategies. Avocado, one wallet to rule all chains.
All right, let's introduce Yoni and Nate, the co-founders of NIM Network. Guys, welcome to the Edge Podcast. How are you doing?
Thanks for having us.
Excited to be here.
So the reason we're here today is NIM represents a new economic framework for AI agents ownership. And this is meant to play a role in the future of gaming. So if you think about the games that we grew up playing, cartridge games, whether it was Nintendo, Sega, whatever, when you played, I mean, the one thing that we controlled was our own avatar, and we would play against the computer and have a blast. And at times it felt like those characters would come to life. But the future of gaming is that you can have AI-powered agents in the game. And not only are those agents that you would play against, but now by combining the powers of crypto, tokenization, and AI within gaming, you actually could own your own AI agents. Like you could generate your own players and do all sorts of things to allow them to play, transact, and generate income. So we're going to talk about how NIM Network enables this and what you need to know to better understand it. So guys, why don't we kick off with a little bit more about the background, like what led to you building NIM Network?
So I think it started like 2 years ago when we started working on Matchbox. So basically, Matchbox is a kind of a sandbox organization that tries to build on games on top of new primitives. And always we had the idea that games are a sandbox, a playing field for these new technologies. And so we started with, ZK middle layer pieces and layer 2 and so on. But when when AI started to come out, we saw something very, very interesting. So we saw with AI, we saw two understandings that led us to do NIM. One is that the development and the progress of AI is exponential versus the blockchain development that is linear. So if we create the bridge, what would be interesting? The second thing is that AI progress is denominated with games. So in general, you see AI before OpenAI even got started was measured based on chess and Go. And what led to ChatGPT is playing Dota 2. So we thought that currently AI doesn't have good benchmarks to measure itself against. And everything that is not possible in production in AI is possible with games. So we thought if we can create a sandbox that will always reflect the future of AIs in games, but also like one that will bridge the capabilities and will enable people to do things that becoming possible in any point of time, primarily access and monetization, access to AIs, through oracles and monetization through distribution of value and co-ownership and so on. We thought that could be, a very cool playground to have, both for the AI side, to have a way to measure which AI is better and to do things that are not possible, and both for blockchains that now can do many, many, many more things and test it on a playground that is kind of a kid's playground that is not necessarily functional. So we felt like those two conditions opens a lot of possibilities. And we thought if we can create an environment that is specifically custom for that would be cool.
Yeah, so I think another angle for why we established NIM was that we believe that in order to enable AI gaming at scale, you must have an ecosystem, and the ecosystem need to have like an economic backbone, which is what we refer to as the agent economy. But more than that in order to bring AI games into like mass adoption and really scale them out, we need an aggregation of many different solutions, mainly infra solutions, but also applications that can compose with each other. Because for us, this is how we think the vision of AI would look like. Composable, different pieces of monetization, applications, and also infrastructure providers playing together in one ecosystem and one chain.
I love that. The highlighting of composability, because that's part of what got us all into DeFi originally. And I don't think you understand the power of composability in DeFi until you're actually observing all of these protocols evolving and building on top of one another and realizing that like there's like a symbiosis, between them. That said, could either of you talk through just some really simple examples of like, how will we as gamers benefit from, NIM Network? Like, how will we use AI agents? I'm like, one example that's top of mind for me is like, am I going to like own a bunch of AI agents and just hope to make money off of them playing? Like, I know that that's cool, but like, it's probably less exciting to me than I think like lots of other examples out there that, are kind of like sci-fi and imaginative.
So I guess like Yoni, if you don't want to jump in, maybe I will give a few references, like a little bit for what you can achieve now with AI agents. So in general, like when you're looking at AI gaming and going back into the idea of the OpenAI gym that was focused on creating AI agents in games, you basically have a really rich history of different examples. So a couple of them is what DeepMind did with Alpha Star, which basically it's an AI agent that can play at the Grandmaster level StarCraft 2. That this is like a really good example of you basically can get superhuman performance with AI players, like as of many years ago. The second, like I think, is an additional really exciting example is like the Dota OpenAI player, which again basically won the championship of Dota 2 against the best players in the world. So in terms of like setting up the ground and having like the right capabilities, and that was like 3 years ago. Now the AI is much more advanced. Theoretically, you can play any type of game, no matter how complex it is, with an AI. And the AI can basically adapt itself, customize itself, and create a more immersive gameplay. In terms of like the way we think like the bullish case for AI in games would look like, so you can think about many different angles, right? You can think about AI as your co-pilot in the sense that you're playing on your computer or you're playing from your smartphone, and then suddenly there is like a cutscene or something else in which the AI takes over, and actually you can just see on your screen how the AI plays in your behalf. Another angle is maybe you have like an army of AI and you are playing against other people in like a spaceship battle or something like that. And I guess also in terms of like having like a co-op mode in which like it's almost like having like an old friend, which is really like an OG gamer, playing with you and guiding you through the gameplay. I think this is also potentially like a really interesting use case of AI players. And also the NPC angle probably as well, having dynamic NPC, which is a bot that can play against you, but also is like part of the so-called team or like environment of the game. So this is just out of my head, like a few cool examples that I can think about.
And I will add like the game economies side of things. So it's not only about the player, it's also about the economic of the game. So, for example, music is a big part in games, and so what we feel, what we already see is that AI is going to take over music as well. And people that are creating nice, like fonts, will be the owners of those songs that will be used and paid for in different types of games. Other things is the economies, is the games themselves. For example, we are working with a partner on a whole game built by AIs. And another thing that is interesting is new types of games that is for AI to compete. So imagine like the AI Olympiads, where there will be a lot of open models, but the competition is who have the best data sets, or who knows how to find things the best. And so you must use a certain model, but then the winner is the one that will optimize in the best way. And the game is a game of who have the best model. So I can imagine companies to compete in such a game. So that's also an interesting angle. And I feel like the financial side of things will start getting into play when you will see more financial layer on top of those games. So we saw a glimpse of it with with a version of Titans that we released like 6 or 7 months ago, that we will have an esport on top of the game. That's also interesting. That let people that are not actually playing. So we are thinking a lot about the people that are not. Most people are not playing or building models. So how can they participate? So I think betting is pretty good way. So that's another engine.
I want to get into a lot of the stuff you were just saying there at the end, Yoni, about, to me, I think this opens up a lot of different player categories. Like there's spectator players, there's players that want to be actually playing. There's how developers can get involved with this. Definitely want to dive into that more, but something Nate was saying too really struck a chord with me. Just this idea that you can kind of take a friend that you've played with over the years and maybe like they can have their own AI agent. And if they're not online or can't play, maybe you can play with their AI agent in some sort of like co-op game together. I guess also I'm thinking of like, how soon is this world of AI in games coming? Like how fast? What's the timeline? It's obviously very nascent right now, and you guys are on kind of like the front lines of developing this stuff, but how quickly do you think this is going to happen? Like where are we in this movement? And then also like, to me, there's like a whole new game type genre that's forming. Just kind of your thoughts on like where are we? Because right now there's people building this for games, but I think eventually games are going to be built with this technology already thought of. You know what I mean?
So I think like there is two questions here, right? The first question is, what are the existing possibilities? Do we have the tech to achieve those type of AI players, highly sophisticated AI players? And the second question is adoption. Like, where do we think the adoption will come from, and what is like the more feasible scenario here? So in terms of like capabilities, I think they were existing even like 2 or 3 years ago, and now with this Cambrian explosion of AI getting into place and new models coming like LLMs and other type of AI models, it became even more feasible. Like things that were highly complex and you needed like 20 different engineers from OpenAI to work them out. Now you can do them basically with one good prompt engineer. So this is like crazy innovation just in terms of like R&D and the ability to cut development time. But I think like one of the biggest issues is that when you're thinking about adoption, it will be pretty hard to get like big studios who are creating like really big titles, which all of them designed for scale, right? They have game servers for millions of players around the world to kind of starting to adapt into that very fast. So big studios are probably very slow. And this is also where I think like the indie gaming or Web3 gaming angle is very interesting. Because they move much faster, they can adapt their infrastructure and design in the sense that you are building the team specifically to create like AI components in your game, or it's much easier for you to integrate that into your existing system. But I think that for us, like the most interesting thing will be, we don't want to force on an existing title, let's put AI agents on top of that, but more of a thinking from first principles, assuming you have the capabilities to create AI agents at scale. How should the game experience be like? How we optimize it to make it really good for the player? And more importantly, how we bootstrap those capabilities from the beginning. And this is where open source and blockchain's technology and economic mechanism get into place, I think. Yeah.
But I can give a few examples for things that we're working on to give like some taste for. So I think like one thing that is very, very short term is independent agents that can be fitted into games. So like streamer, like a virtual streamer, basically taking influencer, feed that with the Twitter post or with streams, and then like he's able to act independently, and then virtual artist that is able to create art, sell it, and it's like a DAO of art. And other use cases are music. So music creator, all of those things can be around games. Another thing is a game that is completely made with AI. Another thing is something that is neural networks and LLMs fit together. So we have a game that we're working with called Uncaged, and they already have bots. So bots is not a new thing, and also neural networks in general was much more old technology, a few years old, but LLMs are new. And so you can connect between LLMs and these kind of neural networks in the way that you have language to choose or to work with them. So we are currently implementing this kind of synergy in two ways. One is through Titans that we're going to release at launch, that you can create strategies with a natural language. And the second is taking the neural network bots of Uncaged and basically making a strategies on top of them, making a strategy to pick them based on their performance and making something that is more interactive. So you have the things that are complementary to the game economy. You have the things that are between LLMs and neural networks and the collaboration between them. You have a game that is completely generated with the game itself, but that's more of a developer experience. So those are a few examples for things that we're going to launch near our launch.
Guys, do you think that, like, with AI agents in games, is the future more of a spectator sport then? Or will we still, play it ourselves? Like, will this look like, something of the past to folks in the future? Like, oh, wow, yeah, you guys used to play the games, whereas like now everyone looks to it more as like a spectator sport. And, I believe in the entertainment layer that you're describing. I think that like these benefits that like NIM Network offers, and we'll get more into this shortly, those benefits can be harnessed by anyone willing to connect their own crypto wallet. However, I think just like we've seen in crypto and DeFi, even though anyone can do it, there are like, call them whales that show up on chain and DeFi. And so like the equivalent of that for me would be someone that's got like the best models, has the best agents, and then as a result, more folks tune in, via Twitch or whatever the future of like another alternative to Twitch is, and they're watching because they just can't compete. Like it elevates to a level where gaming is superhuman AI agents playing each other's.
I see that the new creator economy, like in a normal creator economy, Web2 marketplaces, you have the people that create, but those people are very small amount, maybe 5%. People that create posts in social media, people that have storefronts in Amazon and so on. So I think like depend on the dynamics that will take place, but there was a lot of dynamics, but most likely it will play out the same, where you have players, you have super users that are the creators. You have another form of super users that are heavy users that have the money maybe to buy access or to pay someone to do it, and there is other forms with that as well. So if you compare it to DeFi, you have the people that are the owners of the product or the owner of the project, and then you have liquidity providers, and then you have traders. So this kind of three tiers of users, I think, will take place with AI when we'll have ownership in place. So we think we want with NIM to have the tools for ownership for each of those types of users, but I think there will be a little bit super creators, so the creators of the game, the creators of the tokenized models and so on, and then you have heavy users that is like, we buy the inventory for the next 6 months, and now you need to buy it from us. Like the liquidity providers that are not their project, but they are still providing the main liquidity, like Patricio in crypto. And then you have users that are just like using it or gambling. Different type of users there as well. So it's a lot of types of users, but I think this economy will be very similar to the Web2 creator economy or to the crypto DeFi economy as it is right now.
Hey guys, just pivoting a bit to this infrastructure that you've been building here with NIM Network. I guess like what sets it apart, or what allows you to do all these cool things that we've been talking about? Like what have you built under the hood to allow this kind of future to play out here?
Yeah, I will start with like maybe like a mental model for that, and then Yoni can jump in and refocus some of the points. So the way we think about the NIM infrastructure is that you basically have maybe three different components here, right? The first component is access to model, and by access to model we mean the quality of the models that you are using to power up those agents, the way you are getting access to them, which is how you actually getting like the response from the model. And then the final part is like also how you verifying the response on the chain. I think the second component goes a little bit into how the monetization work. So basically, if you have different models and you have different access points and you have also creator economy of agents, how do you monetize that? Which going a little bit back into Yoni's point about the different type of personas or users in our system. And the third part is actually you are connecting everything into actual games and contracts and protocols that facilitating this very smooth movement of agents on the chain, or even from one chain to another. So regarding the first point, our main effort now is to aggregate and to facilitate the best solution that we think are existing for verifying and connecting models to the chain. So one exciting research that we've been working on lately with Ligero, which is a ZK research group, is working and repurposing a new type of ZK system. It's called Ligero, which is memory efficient. What does it mean is that basically two things. One, you will be able as a user to verify some of those models locally. So you can run the models on your machine. You don't need a centralized server for that. You know what exactly you are running, and then you are submitting the proof to the chain to a certain process. And it's possible because the Ligero proof is very efficient in memory. So you don't need like crazy spec and hardware of a prover that costs you, I don't know, like $100K. It's possible on consumer hardware. The second part of Ligero is that because it's memory efficient, it's much more scalable in the sense that if we envision like a future in which we have like 100 million inference per second, like the LLM is constantly, or the AI is constantly shooting new responses to the chain, and we want to verify all of that. Basically, like if you will use existing proving system, you will need, I don't know, like a super computer or something, which is basically very hard to achieve. So with Ligero, what you can do with, I don't know, for example, 1 million computers, you will be able to do with 2,000 or 5,000 computers. Yeah, just talking in terms of like memory usage. So this is one thing that is very exciting for us. The second approach that we are taking, it's not exactly ZK, but also related. It's TEE, Trusted Execution Environment. It's very like reliable solution. It's existing for many years, but we are working specifically on using TEE in order to run AI inference in those trusted execution environment, and then providing the attestation and proof to the chain. So this is also quite straightforward. And the third thing that we also been working on, again, with other ZK partners, is the idea of privacy, which also possible with TE, but specifically possible when you're using prover networks. So the idea of prover network is that, again, user can run his own local agents, or a protocol can run AI models, and then there is like a network and a marketplace of proofs that actually generate the ZK proof that is being submitted to the chain, but keeping everything private. So if we don't want to show like the secret sauce of what you are doing exactly with your AI, what are the specific parameters that making you a very good player or very good creator, it will be possible using the prover networks. So I think this is with regarding to the model accessibility.
Guys, I got one thing that I definitely want to talk about. It maybe this like ERC 6551 smart accounts. That's pretty interesting to me. Would love one of you to kind of go in a little bit deeper on that.
One thing that is very exciting for us at NIM is, and this is also why the reason we thought we need a chain to actually enable everything, is that we have much more flexibility in terms of designing our system and our EVM layer to support basically whatever we want. So there are a few current very innovative and experimental ERCs that we want to implement as part of the NIM core EVM layer, so to speak. So two of them, which we find really exciting, is ERC 6511, which is basically which is basically a token bound. It basically, if you want to really summarize it, it gives an NFT access to smart accounts, which can correspond to those AI agents that we were mentioning before that. But the reason why specifically we think it's exciting is that you can basically through NFT get a piece of a model or to get a piece of a specific revenue stream that is associated with that AI agent. So think about a creator platform on top of NIM that basically what it's doing, it has like an AI access to one of our ZK oracles or the TEE oracle, one of them. By holding the NFT, you are getting access to the AI model. You need to pay inference with that, and you are doing that using the smart account that is associated with that NFT. And then you're also getting the revenue stream that you are getting from the games or protocols or any other type of services that paying for you or accumulated by the agent's behavior. So if it's a game, maybe rewards for the game. If it's a chatbot, maybe revenues that comes from users who are seeking response from the chatbot. So I think this is like really good way to kind of see the full picture of how the economy of agent is connecting also to the infra and to the access of models. So yeah, this is regarding the token bound account ERC. And yeah, like Yoni, do you want to add something on top of that?
I mean, we are trying to create a whole flow of creation and ownership. So on the one hand, there is a developer experience, and on the other hand is the user experience. And for us, users are token holders. So we want to create a token holder or user experience that give them, like ownership over more and more and more stuff, because we think in the future, AI may take our job, but it doesn't mean that it's bad, because it will do a lot of things in the internet, and if you can find a way to own more and more of those things. So the creator, so Nate said about the technical stuff, but I think the economic stuff is also important. So the economic stuff of how to get applications to use it is that we will have a very, very big part of NIM emission, very similar to optimism or retroactive grants, goes to basically agents that are built using these frameworks, and based on the competition framework, so we'll reward every month the top earners or the top performer. And how to measure AI is also a thing. How to measure speed, how to measure cost, how to measure revenue. That's because we're measuring blockchains all the time. We're measuring TPS, we're measuring fees. So why are not measuring AI in crypto? That's another thing that I think will happen soon. And so how to get applications to the network is through that emission and through that infrastructure. But also then everyone will have a fee that will go to the community pool that our token holders will have access, because what we want is to have NIM token as a universal basic income to token that on the one hand reward developers to have the best user base, and the user base are being rewarded with more and more ownership from those things for using. So I think that's also how Web 2 was supposed to be. It doesn't make sense that Facebook worth more than $1 trillion, but it's because of the users. So we're trying to make it's not an easy thing to make, because there's other moving parts here. But I think like aggregating the infrastructure that makes it possible, that is 7001451 and then the reward of the developers who building the agents, and then like the end users that will get some of the fees for just taking in. So I think that's another aspect of the economic part.
And Yoni was just talking about the NIM token there. Maybe we can just kind of reiterate the utility of the NIM token. Like, will it be staked? And anything kind of high level you can tell us about how it will function.
So I think like one of the key ideas that we have with NIM Network, and the idea that you have a full chain that is just spatialized and wrapped around one idea, which is AI gaming, it also requires like a little bit of shift in terms of the economic model or business model of the chain. So for us, what is important to distinguish here is that NIM is not having like the same business model that another gaming chain or Arbitrum or general purpose chain is having. For us, the idea is not just to have gas fees and then distributing the fees among users. This is how the operational cost and revenue works, but more about becoming like an amplification engine that aggregating all the different AI directions, whether it's infrastructure or applications. And then basically what the user gets by holding a NIM and staking it is not just emission out of the gas fees or redistribution of the gas fees that are being collected, but more of an exposure into the revenue streams and success of all the different applications and protocol incubated on NIM. So what we are trying to create is basically a flywheel mechanism, and which the main core of it is a revenue share. So we want to share the revenue between the infrastructure providers, who kind of sets the pillars and foundational work to verify AI models or connect them to the chain or any other thing, but also the applications are actually driving usage and facing the end consumer and user here. So by holding NIM, you're not just holding like, a piece of a certain percentage of staking rewards, but you're actually holding like almost a lottery ticket, or more accurately, an exposure to the innovation cycle of AI and what can come with that and the success of application themselves.
I have a quick follow-up to that, actually, Nate. So I guess if you're going to be working with all these different games and communities and ecosystems, and NIM holders are going to have some form of revenue share, is it possible that as a NIM holder or a NIM staker, the revenue share that's coming back to you could be in the form of other ecosystem gaming tokens or USDC or something else? Or will it always be, oh, you just earn more NIM?
For us, I think that the more we will inflate the token, basically will create more and more supply. We don't necessarily, it won't be basically the most efficient way to reward our most loyal users. So for us, definitely part of the flywheel is getting like a autonomous token or sovereign token that are coming from different applications that are deploying on NIM, or even partners that we will work on. We didn't discuss the multi-chain strategy of NIM, but we're also working on a solution to basically enable the economic app of agents on NIM, but interacting with games that are existing on another chains. So I think that like one key insight that we currently have from the success of interaction of the communities, that NIM will have one of the biggest and most engaged community in crypto. It's really a combination between the amazing community that came from Dymension, but also some of the leading NFT collections and gaming projects in crypto, and everyone are kind of amplifying now the idea of AI gaming. So I think there will be a lot of incentive for new projects and also existing one to kind of trying to convert this community also to their specific gaming applications. But also when projects will be deployed on NIM, I think we will expect a lot of distribution and allocation from those projects to the community. This is definitely something very, very likely to happen, and many times as well.
I think, like Ned said, currently we have a very, aligned user base, like token holders, and basically two main mechanisms that I think in the short term want to facilitate ownership with. One is through, fees in the network, so getting part of the fees that are as a result of apps that are running on NIM, but also like, basically NIM will be the user acquisition vehicle for others. So like we got most of our users Dymension, we currently working with a few partners to do the same on NIM.
Got it. That makes sense. And maybe like, could we just dive into a bit more of this partnership with Dymension? I feel like just, from the outside looking in, they've been kind of like a great launch partner. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think NIM will be kind of like the first feature token to launch on Dymension. And then I guess as a second question, you also mentioned some of these partnerships. You strategically airdropped a lot of NIM to Pirate Nation, AI Arena, Parallel, Today the Game. Could someone maybe speak to those deeper partnerships that are forming, if there are some? So kind of two questions there, maybe Dymension and then some of these other partnerships that look like they're emerging.
So yeah, I can take the Dymension angle. So yeah, we are working pretty closely with the Dymension team. I think that first of all, NIM will be the first rollup to launch on top of Dymension. So this is also the case here. But I think one thing that we figured out during like working closely with the team and kind of diving deep into the tech of Dymension, that basically this is like really innovative and exciting way to bootstrap or manage your infrastructure if you want to be a rollup. So what is exciting about Dymension, in addition to the great community and engaged community, is that basically what Dymension are trying to do is to create a system, a permissionless system at the end of it, which will enable high demand type of ideas to find a home in infrastructure that will be bootstrapped by the economic mechanism of Dymension. So instead of going into like any kind of roll-up as a service provider, whether it's centralized or whether it's layer 3 on top of existing L2, what Dymension provides you is a little bit more flexibility in the sense that you can do whatever you want with the chain. But more than that, it will be very cheap and also connected to the validator set that is working on Dymension. So I think this is for me a very long-term and high-stake game, which I have high conviction that Dymension will be able to win at the end of the day.
Okay, so basically the majority of like what we're trying to do with partners is to basically be an aggregator. Like what is nice about not being a general purpose rollup is that others can participate in that specific use case. And I think that's the future of rollups in general. People will build rollups for social, rollups for payments, and will aggregate everything that exists in order to feed that. So we're working with different types of middle layer on the one hand and with games on the other hand. So games is, they really want to get AI and to improve the game experience. So we work with Pirate Nation, we work with Arena, we work with Cage, we work with other games. And then on the middle layer side of things, we work with people that are building these oracles, we work with building that building this token-bound account, and with data availability providers. And with each of them, we're trying to be the kind of R&D chain for them. So we are like assembling this kind of proof of concepts with them that are using what they are building in order to improve the access or monetization to AI and to improve the game. And then like that can be then deployed fully or scalably into NIM or into other places. We don't we're not in the colonialist approach. We have like a non-zero sum approach. So we don't care if they will deploy in other places, but basically we feel coordination is a big deal that is underexplored, and we want to be the coordination layer for AI games for others.
I think that makes a lot of sense to me, that explanation there, Yoni, because I personally was starting to see some similarities between, let's take Parallel, Colony, and Wayfinder, for example. Colony is also working with those 6551 NFT accounts. So definitely was seeing some similarities, and for sure there's differences too, but maybe one of you can just kind of speak to some of that overlap between what Colony and Wayfinder are doing and NIM's approach. Just kind of reiterate that it sounds like this isn't like a winner-take-all thing. You guys are positioning yourselves to be very complementary to all these different games that are integrating AI. So yeah, maybe one of you can just kind of speak to that.
Yeah, sure. I can jump into that. So with regard to Wayfinder, I think Wayfinder, we read the white paper. We are in touch with the team as well. I think for us, the vision which is outlined in the white paper is very exciting. The idea of having agents or LLMs or AI models like as a middle layer or an interface that basically gives you the ability to do whatever you want on the chain and doing like the heavy lifting for you instead of going into each of the contracts and kind of doing this very like hard work of switching from one chain to another and going to that bridge and doing the swap and, like reaching your final destination, so to speak. The agent is doing that for you using those Wayfinder paths, which is basically a sequence of actions, and there will be many of them. So I think like there is a similarity here. We are also figuring out how we can integrate Wayfinder into NIM, because basically Wayfinder have been built to be a multi-chain protocol. So the idea is that it can be extended into any kind of a chain, especially if it's an EVM chain and even not just EVM. But I think specifically what we are trying to tackle with NIM are two things, right? Obviously, having the interface layer, which gives you the ability to interact with contracts and move from one thing to another, is important. But also the type of applications and the monetization around it is also quite important, right? So the way we envision NIM, it's a little bit like what we talked about earlier. Like, what should be the type of games that are using AI? Should it be like existing games that you create AI plugins into that, or should you redesign a game from first principle to kind of accommodate AI use cases? So this is how we see NIM. We think NIM from scratch, from the DeFi system, from the governance system, from the games themselves, from the monetization. Everything will be designed from first principle to kind of accommodate AI. So anytime a provider like Wayfinder will emerge, basically the best place to kind of experiment and get like the best potential and demonstration of what AI agents will be able to do is on NIM. Because if you think about it, using currently like Wayfinder with existing DeFi protocols that weren't designed or weren't specifically compatible with those type of agents is very amazing, obviously, but it's not like the ultimate form of what AI agents should be like, right? So I think this is how we think we can be very complementary for any kind of AI interface layer that will be used, because at the end of the day, it all comes down into the economic hub, I think, of how you monetize agents, how you bootstrap applications, and also what type of applications you think you should enable for AI agent interaction.
Yoni, Nate, this is a great place for us to start to close out the conversation. So I want to remind our listeners that they should learn more about NIM at nim.network. They can create their first AI player at ai.nim.network. They can follow NIM_network on Twitter. And just thanks so much, guys, for taking the time to speak with us. There's so much more there I think we want to dig into. We'll have to have you back in the future. I think the spectator betting element of this is really starting to click for me. And I'm realizing how that just becomes more possible because of the primitives that are introduced through NIM Network. So thank you for your time. Appreciate you coming on. Would love to just close out, though, with what more can we expect in the next 6 to 12 months? Any other bit of alpha you can share?
Personally, I'm very excited about the attention that we were able to capture with the community and the things that were coming. I think at the end of the day, each chain, and specifically NIM, we are nothing without our community. But because we have such a big and excited and engaged community, I think this is a great opportunity to deliver. And by delivering, I mean from the infra and also applications. I think what people would find out quickly about NIM is that the same thing that we said earlier about the rapid and explosive innovation cycles with AI, and how much things are, being redeployed and created and re-innovative like every day. We are going to stick with the same approach in terms of delivery. So what people should expect in terms of NIM is getting major announcements and production-ready applications and exciting partnerships routinely and on very high frequency compared to other chains and other ecosystems. So this is, I think, where is our edge and part of the ethos or mutual messaging or alignment that we want to have with all of our partners. We're moving very quick, we iterate even quicker, and we deliver amazing experience to our users.
Thanks everyone for tuning in. If you're a talented founder or developer, please consider reaching out to our team at fourthrevolution.capital. And for future episodes of the Edge podcast, please check out our link tree at edge_pod.